Well, beautiful. Seemed to work. You're very loud. It's distorting on my end a little bit, but
I am very loud?
yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we got background music. All right, that's great. So, all right. So here we are with inefficient and counterproductive. And how are you feeling tonight?
We are feeling definitely inefficient and definitely counterproductive.
Yep.
The first thing we absolutely have to do, Will, is say hello to John DeMarco and Mountains of Elysium, my old friends from the internet. Am I loud still? Am I blowing out your speakers still? Should I turn down my volume?
That sounds all right now. Yeah, it was just distorting a little bit. I still haven't figured out a way to how I'm supposed to monitor this. I don't know where it is showing it up on my channel for some reason.
Oh, I think, okay. So people should know that if anybody is on here actually watching this, we feel for you. Because we're just
not the bugs here.
Yeah, we're just messing around right now.
Where's the live? Let's see.
So what I did was just go to my channel, and then I reloaded the page once we started.
Oh, maybe
then it was there. I am pouring myself a nice cold Coca-Cola, everybody.
All right, it should be showing up, but I still don't see. Oh wait. Oh. Yeah, okay, it is. What is this about? Right, okay. It was there the whole time. All right, let me mute this. Found it. Oh, yeah, okay, it is. What is this about? Right.
You have to mute it.
It was there the whole time. Hold on. Found it.
Oh, look, you can see my... Can you guys see in the background in my kitchen over there that... one of my lights got disconnected from the Google Home, so it's like, what do I do? I don't have a home. Please.
Well, also, I should tell you now that my name is Will. I'm on the, also known as the Glarf and some other things. And my nickname is Squilla Mahandarana Mystifica Pepinopostria Phalagar, if you want to use that for brevity's sake. I still remember that. I made that name up in college, and I still remember all 27 syllables of it. So, highly inefficient. Anyway, I'm on the east coast of the U.S., somewhere, destination unknown. And my sister is down in not the east coast of the United States.
No, in fact, the west-ish coast of the continent. Kind of not on the continent. You know what's neat?
Yeah, are you on the continent or not?
Well, okay, geographically,
North American. What's that?
Cartographers like to say that this is all part of North America, right? Okay. Let me make it clear. I'm on the Isthmus of Panama right now, which is the bit of volcano barf between southern Mexico and Colombia. So really, it's not Mexico. It really starts around southern Guatemala and goes through El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, etc. And I don't like to mention Belize. They don't count. They're too rich. But I'm in Costa Rica. And I think there are I need to look it up again, but I think there are 8 different plates that come together here. It's basically the most brittle part of the faults on this side of the continent. And there wasn't anything here when, so go back, a couple 100 million years and you have Pangea, right? Big land mass, Earth, big land mass. North America breaks away from Europe. South America breaks away from Africa, right? And they float over onto this side of the globe. And then when there's a big ice age, and then when the ice starts to retract, a bunch of volcanoes barf up a lot of spit, dribble, drool that accidentally connects the southern part of North America and the northern part of South America, and that is where I am.
Yeah, right in the center point.
You know what's cool about it, Will?
You're in the belly button of the continents. What?
This is a very inefficient opening, but
yes, it is.
What's cool about it is that there are no fossils here, none. Because there's no bedrock. It's all just lava that was spit over. the only archaeology there is to do here is on human cultures from the last 10,000 years. But there are no, other than occasionally you might find a shark's tooth out in the water, but that's really unlikely too, because there are no cliffs, there's no sedimentary rock, there's nothing that old.
But what do you have there? You've got rain and cloud forest and sloths and monkeys.
Yeah, we have those. They're all right.
And terrible ants.
Terrible ants?
And there's some kind of terrible ants there, aren't there? Bullet ants or something? Or maybe that's Africa.
Oh, yeah, there. But we also have leafcutter ants everywhere.
Oh, well,
which are wonderful ants.
Yeah, those are good. The bullet ants, not so great. But
well, if you're a YouTube star who makes your money by getting stung by horrible things, yes.
Yeah, right. There's that guy that did that, and it was terrible. He said it was terrible. There was some kind of a wasp down there too that he stung with.
Oh, the tarantula wasps. We get those in the house. Like not too long ago, Fifi and I were both sitting in the house here, and a tarantula walked down the hallway.
Ooh, beautiful. Yeah. Tarantulas don't worry me, but the wasps are not great. But it wasn't that. It was some kind of awful wasp that, not tarantula wasps, but this was, what was the name of it? I should probably preface, now that we've been all kinds of inefficient and counterproductive in introducing this is the channel for inefficiency and counterproductivity, okay? There actually is an ethos behind all this, and we're demonstrating it as we speak. The idea is, and I have a little introductory video on that our cultures have become too tied up in the concepts of productivity and efficiency as being measurements of quality as a human being, which is just ridiculous. This is all artifacts of the Industrial Revolution of the 20th century. And really, there's plenty of things that don't call to be inefficient on purpose and counterproductive, as far as the definitions, those statements are understood by the general culture. So we aim to reverse that, or at least show off where it's much better to be inefficient and counterproductive. And here we are being inefficient and counterproductive, even in the beginning of our video. So how does that sound? How does that hit you?
Okay, so I'm just opening a board thingy because, hold on.
Oh, yeah, like a chat?
No, where is it? Oh, it's here. Okay. Ooh, here we go.
Jamboard, yeah.
Yes. Let's see. Productivity. Oh my God. Activity. Culture. There. That was exciting, wasn't it?
Yes.
What I was trying to do is say, so I've been trying to map out in my head this whole ethos, as you called it, this whole philosophy. And it's got so many parts. And so you just mentioned the productivity culture. I call it the Protestant work ethic thing, that when your work becomes a moral definition of yourself, Yeah. And it's a huge one. It's a huge one. But there's also the one that's so this is why I need to map it out. There's also the part where I actually am way better at what I do for my work when I do all kinds of other things. So it's not just a moral question. It's like neuroscience.
Yes, I can see that. I find that I'm at my most productive and most creative when I'm supposed to be doing something else. Exactly.
Yeah. And I also mean when I, John DeMarco is saying, you are demonstrating your topic very efficiently. I'm saying that it's not just like procrastination land. It's that my brain draws better, is more creative and draws better illusions between things, and does better work, describes what is going on in, say, Congress, better when I have spent the weekend playing pinball.
I can see that. Yeah. Have you ever noticed the phenomenon related to that? Back in the days when we used to play video games, in the Aladdin's Castle over in the mall, used to play games like track and field and
I still remember you going like this.
Yeah, I still do that actually to this day. It's ways to place the buttons, but
running on track and field, right?
Yep. But I noticed through all of those video games, no matter what I was playing, Wizard of War or Defender or
Gauntlet,
action, a lot of them. I noticed that you could try to get better and try to get better and try to get better and play quarter after quarter, right? Eventually, you wouldn't do so well. Then when you stopped and left, and like a week later it came back, you come back and like double your score in the first quarter. It's almost like you reach a plateau in mental processes in one session. Then you have to go away from it a while and let everything kind of reset and simmer and mulch. And then when you come back, you do much better. I don't know all the neuromechanics behind that, but I've always noticed that as a phenomenon. But
there are neuromechanics behind it. So okay, I'm going to attempt to do this. I don't really know very well how to use a Jamboard, it turns out.
Oh, well, I use this all the time. I just do it with drawing though, rather than text. Like a whiteboard. There's a setting there you can, where is it? On the bottom you can use to just draw with. Oh, I guess, no, it's a second from the top, I guess. I don't know, that's what I do. What is it you're trying to do? I guess you're right, it was the tarantula hawk that the guy was talking about. There was a video where somebody was gauging the most painful stings and stinging himself on YouTube. I guess that was the tarantula.
Hello?
Tarantula wasp. Yeah?
Was I gone for a while?
No.
Oh, well, I thought I was saying stuff and then no one was saying anything back, and I thought, well, they're all just agreeing with me vehemently. It's a joke. Okay. So I do know that some of the neuroscience behind this, and it has everything to do with explicit versus, I don't want to say implicit because we talk a lot about implicit bias these days. I'm talking about explicit versus implicit thinking, thought. So there's a lot of thought, like the thought that we have when we're talking to ourselves in our brain, that's explicit. We know we're doing it. We talk about, we know we think this about that. Implicit thought is all the stuff that happens that you are unaware of at the neocortex level. So there's just a shit ton of stuff that your brain does. For example, when you play a video game for a long time and then go away and then come back, it's really processing all those things and firing those neurons more and making connections between things that we are just not, our stupid chatterbox parrot brain are not aware of. There's so much more that the brain does, and we tend to think that the things that we're aware of it doing are the only things that matter, and that's not true.
I caught a piece of an interview with it was WYPR, so I guess it was probably an interview that was on NPR or something, but it was all about this. It was all about implicit bias and
when?
Now I don't know. It was a few days ago.
Okay.
It was really interesting. It wasn't telling me anything I already knew, but it was reaffirming opinions that I had generated just from reading other things. But it's just talking about that we all have biases that we don't even know that we have consciously. But it had to do with a lot of studies that studied people and how they, if they knew that they were if they knew that they were implicit bias, it caused them to be a little bit less biased, but still not necessarily, it helped, but it didn't completely wipe away bias. It's just that it made a little bit of a difference when you knew about it.
Yeah. Have you taken the Harvard implicit bias test?
No.
Okay. Well, look it up online. It's interesting the thing that interests me is not so much the questions of race and sex and the bias. I'm not as interested in the bias part as I am in the implicit part.
Well, right. I mean, but and plus it's just a matter. It could be a bias towards anything. I mean, studies have shown that you treat people differently if you think they have more money than you or not. I mean, it doesn't have to be race.
I am biased towards butter and against margarine. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, I agree with that, and I'm biased towards Hellmann's over Duke's. Thank you. But
me too. Me too. Why is
Duke's
this?
Just oily to me. I don't know why.
And everybody seems to think that Duke's is the thing. Duke's is like the one everybody loves now.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I mean, it was always Hellmann's. In fact, they did a brand loyalty little seminar, and one of the ridiculous. I through all the years in being in corporate culture over those years, I went through a whole bunch of different fad management training things like total quality management and all sorts of things. One of them was branding, and they made some good points, but the seminar talked about brand loyalty. One of the biggest brand loyalties there are in any consumer markets was Mayo, and the biggest and it was Hellmann's was the one. But now I'm seeing Duke's everywhere, and even Mom's buying it. And then Kirk seems to have something to say, but it doesn't taste as good, and the consistency isn't as good. So at least to me, so it's biased right there. So.
I agree. Hold on a second. We have more people. Yitz is here. Hi, Yitza. Ah. Does everybody out there know that Yitza and I work together now? Also, Hex Allen Comics. Do I know Hex Allen Comics? I think I kind of dropped out around the time. Maybe you. Do I know you? You tell me. And Mountains is here. Mountains was here before. Did I say hi to you, Mountains? And Parrot Head. Hi, Parrot Head. And John DeMarco is with me on the butter. What?
Oh, yeah. Parrot Head. Somebody.
One of the, what's his face? Buffett.
Yeah, Buffetteer.
Yeah. The tarantula hawk, the tarantula wasp does indeed so it stings and paralyzes the tarantula, drags it back to the tarantula's own den, lays its larvae inside the live tarantula, which is now paralyzed, and the larvae gets bigger and eats it from the inside out.
Beautiful. That ranks up there with that one mold that brainwashes the caterpillars. You've seen that?
Oh yeah.
It brainwashes I think it's caterpillars. Caterpillars are it's some insect. Ants, I think it takes over the brains of ants and causes them to go.
Yeah, and makes them do wacky shit, right?
Yeah.
Makes them walk up a stick all the way to the top or something. It's some weird ass thing.
Yeah, it causes them to behave in such a way as that the mold or whatever can reproduce. I forget exactly what.
Yeah.
That's some creepy stuff. What?
Jumping back to the leafcutter ants. Do you know what they eat? Do you remember that whole thing? They can take down like an entire tree in a day, and they take these little pieces, little bits and pieces of leaf back to their giant underground hives, and they have special chambers where they take those leaves and put them there with a little bit of spit on a big bundle of leaf stuff, and that's where they grow a mold, which is what they actually eat. They're farmers.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
What is this? 12 out of... I'm getting a notice here.
Wait, notice of what? Oh, look, Yitza says, from when I said we work together, he says, I attempt to work with you, yes, me being super efficient versus your inefficiency. Did I make him sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, by the way, I wanted to relay, I have firsthand experience that, your brain is working on things whether you know it or not, because This one time back as an undergrad, I was working on a real complicated, it was short. It was a complicated recursion in Prolog, which is a positional language used a lot in artificial intelligence.
A recursion? What's a recursion?
And recursion means that it's a self-referenced algorithm, so that it takes a piece and up. It's a little bit like fractal. It breaks it down into smaller pieces and breaks it down into smaller pieces and up, and does the same thing to every one of them. So it calls itself over and over again on the same piece of information.
10, print Andrea. 20, go to 10.
Well, that's a loop. That's a little different. But and then when it gets to the bottom, there's no more ways to break it down. They all kind of like a domino effect collapse back up the chain, and you get your answer. So it's a self-calling algorithm is basically what it is. So anyway, they're really sort of tricky to work out, because they take a very short amount of code, but because they're self-referential, so you only have to write one piece of code. As long as you do it right, it will then take all the data and process it all. Anyway, that's not the important part. This was a Prolog thing, and probably could do it about 8 or 10 lines, but to get everything exactly right so the recursion worked properly it's really tricky, and couldn't get it, wasn't working. I was getting all frustrated, and this was in the void, by the way. And finally, I was like, the hell with this, and I just said, I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep. So I just leaned over on the couch where I was sitting, and I closed my eyes and I started to nap. And then suddenly I sat bolt upright, just drawn straight out of sleep, and knew exactly how to do it. It was crazy. And I just wrote all 6 lines, worked perfectly. It was like,
wow.
I didn't even know. That wasn't the plan. It was just. It's like I opened my eyes, like, oh, right, that's how you do it. Bling. And it wasn't. I was asleep when this happened. So
wow,
that's just firsthand experience. It shows you that the brain is working. When you're not paying attention sometimes. So
yeah, it makes me go back and like every little piece of philosophy I've read since reading about this implicit. The whole 90% of your brain we don't use thing is bullshit. 90% of our brain is doing all kinds of stuff that we're just not aware of. And as soon as I read about
that is a misunderstood original quote. They say,
what was the original quote?
That there was an original quote, but what it meant was all of the brain is active at some point or other. We don't know what 90% of the brain is actually doing.
Right.
That's what they originally said. Somebody interpreted that as we're only using 10% of it, and the rest of it is not in use. Or
crazy.
That's not what it meant. No, it was meant that we don't understand 90% of what it's doing, but all of it's active at some point or another. So
yeah, and it makes me realize that so much of the stupid shit we've thought is going on has to do with believing that we have to, I don't know if I can say this. We have to be able to chatter something to ourselves to believe that it's real. It's like when you're talking about playing the video games, like I had a similar kind of switch, I guess, when I was learning to play guitar and was learning a million years ago, and you get to a certain point where you're really good at it, is when you're thinking about every single pluck of the string and everything. And then I realized, like, if you ditch perfection, right, and you stop thinking about every explicit thing, suddenly you can do it. So there's this, like, you know what I mean? There's this switch in your head that allows, I think it's correlated somehow. It's related to the thinking that we don't know we're doing.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Well, there is such a thing as overthinking, and if you think about every single step of the process, that slows you down. But you still have to build up the neural pathways and the muscle memory in order to be able to let your brain take over in the background. If you don't have that, it's not going to sound great. So you sort of have to go through at least some of that. But after that point, you got to be able to let it go and then let your brain run itself in those circumstances. That's a hard thing to do. I don't know how many, when you're speaking of that, another thing I wanted to point out was, is that I was looking at an interview with Mark Knopfler.
That's the Dire Straits guy?
To this day, he says that the best thing you can do if you're learning to play guitar and learning to free solo is to figure out how to let your left hand relax. Right? Because, when you're trying to force it, you're trying to, in a performing situation and it's a, high stress, whatever, you start to tense up and that just ruins the fluidness of everything. And even after now, 40 years of him playing, he still has to work on allowing his left hand to relax. And the same goes, by the way, for singers. I have this problem myself when I'm trying to sing and I'm trying to sing a piece properly, but this comes from classical singing training. The more I think about trying to get the proper tone, right, especially when you're going up and down the scale, and the more you tighten up and your jaw tightens up and to the point where you get aches in your jaw and this kind of thing. And it's very difficult to learn to let it relax and let it go. And then if you can do that, that's a skill that you have to develop, actually. To become loose and smooth in those kind of situations. It's like the harder you try, the harder it gets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I have to say hi to Professor Brady Specs. Hi, Jeff. How are you? I'm cold, even though I was in this morning, what feels like this morning to me, but was actually 24 hours ago, really. I was in Columbia, Missouri, and then St. Louis, etc. And it was 7 degrees.
In St. Louis?
It was 7 degrees in Columbia. It was about 10 by the time I got to St. Louis. And which, for anybody who is watching who cares about Celsius, that's negative 12.
Mm.
And I had to look it up because no one's going to believe me down here in Costa Rica.
Negative 12, all right.
Negative 12 degrees, yes. In fact, the plane, it started, the first plane I was on today, the starter wouldn't turn over. And I mean, it's not like the jet engine starter. It's just the little stupid thing that taxis you around on the runway, right? It's like a lawnmower engine. But still, it was so cold, they couldn't get it to start. And it turns out the only reason they needed it to start was to drive the plane over to the de-icing patch. So they had to get somebody to tow the plane to the de-icing patch to de-ice the wings so that we could take off. That was cold.
Let me see. See if there's got anybody here on INC here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. So we're streaming to 2 channels right now. How are you? You're sick, Professor Brandon? Is it COVID? Do you have anybody on INC, Will?
There's a couple of people. I'm having a hard time pulling that up. I'm not sure where.
Okay. I'll try and do. You poor thing. Will is trying to. This is my brother, Will. And I'm his sister, Andrea. And this is inefficient and counterproductive, which is both the way that we live and it's my mantra. It's been my mantra for some time. Will and I have talked about it for years, this sort of we don't believe that everything has to be productive. That the only thing that makes you worthy as a human being is how productive you are. And the only thing that makes you good at your job is how productive you are. And that the things that they measure as products are the products that necessarily should be measured. Productivity and efficiency are a giant act in confusing the model with reality. It's taking reality and building some kind of model for how things should work so you get this output in this amount of time and widgets and blah, 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 and then attempting to put the inputs in just such a way to get the outputs this way. Human beings do not work like that. and we devalue ourselves by
Oh, here we are.
pretending to do it.
I had the private chat window open, not the comments chat. That's why I wasn't seeing anything. It's like, where are you seeing all these people?
Oh, I'm looking at the YouTube comments. I'm not even looking at the comments on StreamYard.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, there's only, let's see. There's only one person on the INC channel.
That's probably you.
It's probably me. Yeah, exactly. Nobody there. That's all right. It's not terribly surprising.
If you go to my channel, you'll see that there are, I don't know, 5 or 6 lovely people.
Although INC does have 40-odd thousand subscribers now, so.
Yeah. Oh, so right. So if you guys, this is my advice to you. If you want to get thousands of subscribers to your YouTube channel, all you people, all you have to do is 8 years ago have taken a video of your son and your dog. There you go.
That's right.
Tell them the story, Will.
I just did a video. I mean, we could probably show it here somehow, but it's just a video of my son when he was a toddler, barely a toddler, going round and round with our Bichon Frise named Rivka at the time. And they were clearly they were going round and round in the circle because Rivka was carrying around a toy and Asher was trying to get it. And she would laugh. Asher was laughing his head off. And the Bichon was clearly playing keep away. And then towards the end of the video, Asher just decided to cut out the middleman, and he waited for a second and then went straight through the middle of the circle to get it. I mean, it cut him off at the pass. Anyway, it was a very cute video, and it's been up there since, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I don't know. Let's see, it was 9. So yeah, it would have been 6-7 years ago. Well, this last December, it's been up there forever. It had maybe 100 views or something, right? And I start getting these messages this past December that, congratulations on such and such a number of views on this video and so many subscribers. And like, what's going on here? So I pull it up, and by that time, the video, starting in the beginning of December, had 3 million views. That one video. And I looked into it, and it had gotten onto some list somewhere of cute kids and animals. I still don't know exactly where. It looked like it started in India, but now it's like global. And that one video is generating income because that allowed me to then, I met all the new qualifications to monetize my channel and all that just because of that one video, because you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers and you have to a couple other things before you can monetize videos. So just in the last couple of weeks of December, I passed all those requirements and they allowed me to do it. So I turned it on. And in those 2 weeks, that one video generated a couple $1,000s in revenue. That video. And I got like 200 videos up. So since that time, it's gone down a little bit. And then the last few days, it's been spiking again.
Huh.
So, I don't know, that one video just in ad revenues is pulling in something like $200 a day. It's just crazy on this one video. So, and I've got other ones up now that I put up, and those are generating some income as well, but it just came out of nowhere. I've had this YouTube channel for 8 years or something. I never really did much with it. It's just my YouTube channel. It wasn't any kind of branded thing. It's just where I put up videos from Brazil and whatever the heck I wanted to put up. It wasn't meant to be. I always had planned on creating a brand, some sort of brand. In fact, I have another channel I set up called The Glarf. That's also available. I'll probably start streaming to that as well as INC. But my regular one was never meant to be anything other than my personal YouTube account. So anyway, that's amazing.
It is so cool. It's such a funny story. And people are all sort of, we're always trying to figure out how to get subscribers and do things. And it just seems so, I think John DeMarco just said, the algorithm works in mysterious ways.
I don't know how it works, but it's being passed around. The link is, so it's almost beyond YouTube's purview now, because now YouTube is just acting as a distributor. It's on
Yeah.
some list somewhere,
Hey, Mountains is saying
Board
put
Panda or
the
something.
link
What?
to your YouTube in the chat, and people will subscribe to it also.
Oh yeah, there you go. So what is that one? Let's see.
And of course, if these are people watching it on mine, I should look at yours too. Although I have to say, inefficient and counterproductive is ours, right? I don't want it to get. I don't want it to not be mine.
It's both of ours. Yeah, INC is a product of both of ours. Yes.
Yes.
So it started out as my channel, but since that's where it got nuts, I'm just going to use that as the main channel now. And the root link is here.
Yes, you got that. I made inefficient and counterproductive. That was my
Yes, that was your name. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, we both own it and stuff.
And that's the actual. I show up as INC, but because it's my YouTube channel, but it's originally my YouTube channel, but it now is ours. So, and I'll move my private stuff off somewhere else, and we'll just turn this one into.
Oh, did you? Okay, so when you put that, when you put the link in the StreamYard's chat, it showed up as me. So when we're on the same, even though we're different people on the same team, does anybody know about this StreamYard Teams thing? Has somebody figured it out? John DeMarco, Jeff, anybody? Yitza, Mountains of Elysium, anybody? Because I don't really understand what it's doing, except that it's letting Will control my StreamYards, I think.
Pop it in the video description too. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Let's see.
Did you see that Mountain said that they were laughing about his wife is Ecuadorian, and they were laughing about a weather report that his wife's sister sent up where it was going to go down as cold as 21 degrees Celsius.
Oh, Lord. Reminds me of that movie, LA Story with Steve Martin, where he lives in LA and he's a weather report. He does report. And how did you react when the temperature dropped to a weenie shrinking 52 degrees?
Yeah.
58 degrees. Well, we just put on a coat, and dogs got a little bit chilly, so we brought them in at about 10.
Yeah.
58 degrees.
21 degrees Celsius is like 70, I think. It's like 69 or 70 degrees.
That's also another one. Some of the buildings here in LA are over 50 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That actually harks back to an Eddie Izzard bit where he says, I'm from Europe where the history comes from.
Yeah.
You tear your history down. Some of these buildings here are over 50 years old. No, surely not. No one was alive then.
Yeah.
Well, when we were in England, staying in Sidlesham there.
Yeah, there's like a church from like 1300.
That church, yeah, the local church where we had the memorial service for Grandma Seabrook when she passed away when we were there. Remember that? I
was still in the United States when she died.
Oh, so it must have been very early.
It was it was like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, we had a memorial service there because Dad couldn't fly back. Just that, and so we had a memorial service in that church, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this church is 800 years old."
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just casual. Yeah, the local church 800 years old, and the Market Cross in Chichester is like something like 400 years old, 500 years old.
Yeah. And conversely, when I'm out in like California or Nevada, something like that, and Mom, the house we grew up in is 100 years old now. My house in Washington has a kitchen, the original kitchen from 1952, and that could be historic by some standards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I believe in inefficiency and counterproductivity. God damn it.
Me too. Although it should be prefaced to say that it's really the current common definition that is being used for them that's the problem. I mean, there's all kinds of good things to say about being elegant and and doing things in a
Okay, I don't think elegance and efficiency are the same thing.
no, but I'm trying to not use those terms. It's tough because we're talking about the way they are used, like in the business world, and it's not saying to go out and intentionally shoot yourself in the foot for some reason, when you're trying to do something. It was, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how to voice what I'm saying.
Um,
There's no call to go out and be intentionally inefficient and counterproductive.
oh, I see.
It's more like they shouldn't be the end all definitions of that we strive to.
So we're not really talking about counterproductivity. We're talking about a productivity.
Yeah, I think that's more. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the idea. I think that the title is still correct because it's a little bit more glib.
Yeah.
A productivity and efficient. No.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's funny because I talk about this when I talk, especially to like some of my more left of center friends who think that anything to do with business or money is immoral. And I try and explain to them, it's like, it's not, business is not immoral. It's just amoral. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
business is not, it's not moral. It's not like, I also don't believe in the sort of Ayn Rand, like anything that is business is good is necessarily moral
Get me
either.
started about her.
Yeah, it just has nothing to do, like its ends or have nothing to do with morality,
Yeah, there's no, on the face of it, yeah, it's one of those things where it's agnostic. It doesn't matter. It's how it's used that's the issue, How business is used and structured and conducted.
Yes.
In and of itself, it doesn't have any intrinsic morality features. There's no intrinsic value, no intrinsic property of it. So.
Right. Humans bring moral value and ethical questions, and nothing else does.
Now, of course, I will say that the same argument is made for guns.
I think that's true.
Yeah. That's.
I think that's true.
Yeah, guns are not inherently evil items, but they are used for evil at some points. But that's the argument anyway. I don't know how I feel about that. But I just know that that's the argument that's used.
Yeah.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people. On the other hand, as Eddie Izzard says, I think the gun helps. That's what he says.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's a good question because in general, I would say, that, machines that kill humans are necessarily human things.
Go
ahead. What?
I think a lot of it just hinges on the fact that it just makes it so easy and quickly to kill people. I mean, with only a moment's, impulse. That's part of the problem, I think, rather than.
Yeah, we're not very good at thinking before we do things. So anything that slows things down. But at the same time, well, I don't know. I don't want to talk about guns. Yeah. Jeff was just saying that my webcam freezes every so often. I wonder why. I don't know why. Because I'm in Central America.
Yeah, I noticed it was doing that, but it always comes back after a second or two. So, I figured it would just.
I'm going to close as many instances of Chrome. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn off my video for a minute while I do that. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. Can you see me?
You're frozen.
Okay. Well, anyway. Whoa. If I go away, I'll be back.
Okay.
My computer is, I think, hanging. No, you have to vamp now and talk. So what you do is
your audio is
Good.
still coming through, but garbled, and your video is frozen. So it's probably a good stopping point anyway. We've been doing it for 47 minutes now. 47 minutes now.
No, it's not a good stopping point.
Okay.
Not yet, anyway. Parrot says, "Good night, all. Good night, Parrot Head." Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, but it's breaking up a lot.
Okay, just hang on. I'll be right back. I'll be right back, Will.
Okay. I'll take my blood pressure in the meantime, just for the heck of it. I don't really need to, but I figured, why not? I'm sitting here and it's sitting here. Might as well check it, see what it's doing. Let's see what we got here. What shall it say? Will it be good or bad? Only time will tell. I'm guessing not great, but let's see what it says. The battery died. Okay, so it was so bad that the battery gave up. So I don't know. I don't have an answer then. Too bad.
Where's my... Oh, okay,
Are you still on? Oh, okay.
I'm trying. Hold on a second. Back on here. I know.
Something earlier I was going to say about okay, not inefficient and counterproductive. Don't remember what it was. It had to do with the brain working while you were asleep. Way back then, back at the beginning. So I already talked about that prologue issue. That was kind of interesting. What was the other part? Oh, great land negotiation. I noticed that my students do well. I'm a professor, so I teach a lot on Zoom, and I noticed that a lot of my students do better on the exams when I don't adhere to some artificial, because we have these syllabi that we're supposed to give out, and these syllabi have all these doom and gloom clauses that say, and if you have to turn your assignment in by 11:59 Sunday night, and if you're a minute late, it was not accepted, and all sort of thing. And I think part of the impetus behind that is to try to teach these younger college students, about the real world, quote unquote, which I think is baloney. I'm more interested in learning the material, and different students learn at different rates, and they learn in different ways, and some of them need a little more help than the others. Some of them need a little more time than the others, and I'm fine with that. I don't advertise that. I don't want students to just take advantage and be like, just turn it in, whatever, he'll take it. But I usually, I let it show up as late, but I don't usually mark off for that, because I think that's counterproductive to quality learning. So it's one thing I was going to mention earlier that I suppose Henry did not see or hear, because he's still apparently offline. So if anybody is still here, I still see 4 people here. That's what I was going to mention earlier about inefficiency and counterproductive. So that's a way of being, I guess, counterproductive, because you're not adhering to the time schedule that's set out, unquestioningly and blindly following an artificial schedule. But at the same time, it ends up being more valuable because the students learn better. It comes down to that. So that's one thing I was going to point out. And if Andrea comes back, then I will point that out to her as well, or she can go back and watch the video herself. So, but, so I don't know what's going on with her. Is she back?
Hello?
Ah, there you are.
Hi, sorry.
Sounds better too.
Oh, good. My computer was just, I couldn't even get it to like, stop. I eventually just shut the computer, shut the laptop.
Yeah, it's something running away.
It had too many, instances of Chrome, and it was being stupid, and it's a Mac, and I don't want to hear about it, everybody.
Well, I brought up a point that I was going to make earlier.
Yes.
That my students, we have, I'll tell the story again, even though everybody's already heard this, but the syllabi that we're supposed to use, we're supposed to use these standardized syllabi, which I also think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they all say things like they have all these terrible warnings in them, and the assignments are due at 11:59 Sunday night of that week, and if you're a minute late, you'll not be accepted. All this stuff. I don't follow that. I mean, I let it show up as late, but because I find that students learn at different rates and at different ways, and they learn it better if they're not forced down to the minute. Now, I tell my students I do believe in timeliness, because later material builds on early material. You don't want to get too far behind, or else that's going to be counterproductive, right, to your learning process. But having an arbitrary and blindly followed schedule is also counterproductive.
Absolutely.
So I don't advertise it, like I said, because if I say, well, it's okay if you turn it in after the deadline, if I say that blanket, then there'll be lots of students that that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
There'll be lots of students that'll be like, he'll take it, I'll turn it in whenever. And I don't want that to be the case. I want them to work on it, learn it. I just don't think that forcing them to be down to the minute of some arbitrary deadline is useful. So anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry about the noise there. I mean, hi. Oh, that's my thumb. So I'm now using my phone. Hi. I think actually, I think we have to completely rethink school. You and I were talking about this recently, and I think it is just batshit that we continue to teach what we teach the way we teach it.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, because
it doesn't make any sense at all.
Textbooks, okay, all right, some textbooks, but up until the past 15, 20 years, we didn't have the entire volume of human knowledge available in everyone's pocket.
In our pocket, exactly.
You had to, it was almost like an oral history. You had to hand it down through the books and the textbooks.
Yes.
You don't have that restriction anymore. So the entire mode of teaching needs to be restructured and re-examined to take advantage of the fact that everybody's got access to all information all the time.
Well, and here's what I noticed with my students, who are all also in college, but they're journalism students, a bunch of uppity shits who I love. Hey, by the way, what are the hard shut? Oh, I can just hit the power key, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Control Alt Delete is on a Mac.
It's Control Open Apple, Control Command. It's the same thing kind of thing, but it's Control Command Delete.
Okay. Anyway, these students not only have there has been no generation in humanity, no group of people in the history of our species who has had immediate access to, if not, most of human knowledge, then a huge amount of human knowledge. B, completely have access to each other. Like, young people have complete access to each other at all times, and none of it, not the information and not the connection, is mediated by adults.
Mm-hmm.
We are fucked.
As much as they try,
when people in the 60s, like when the baby boomers fought against, old people, and they're still in charge of everything, right? The baby boomers, they worked against the older generation. The young people now, they just think we're nice. They pat us on the head because we're irrelevant.
That's true, because in the 60s, the old heads still actually had a stranglehold on most of the major communication pathways.
They had it until
they could turn the phone off. They could do all that.
Yeah.
Now, there's no way. If two kids want to be able to communicate, they'll find a way to do it. That is a bazillion different ways to do it now. That it's not under anybody's control. So,
Fifi had a friend whose parents didn't. Who was 15 or 14. Her parents didn't let her have a phone. She went out and bought one. I mean, they're not expensive.
There you go. No, you can get a burner phone for $10.
Right.
I mean, it won't do much, but you can at least send text on it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, people are saying things. What are they saying, Will?
Let's see. Modern educational systems. Let's see. It probably should be occasions that turn in a bit late. It means a better product paper. But sometimes deadlines need to be that. I have hard deadlines in my job. Well, that's true. No, I definitely agree with that. There are times when deadlines are useful and necessary. Arbitrary ones for a learning situation where there are no actually tangible results that no customers waiting on it. There's no life and death situation. No particular need other than their own grade. Then it doesn't matter as much, But yeah, I'm not against all deadlines. I'm against arbitrary deadlines for learning assignments for students who are the deadline only exists for their own benefit. That's all that matters to. So, but I agree with you, and exactly right as well. Modern educational systems were designed to, as they are right now, were designed to create workers. From the Industrial Revolution. So it's still set up that way. It was designed in such a way that you get through high school and that you should be ready for a 30-year career with a company at that point, and that's it. And still, that's way oversimplifying it, but that is the general gist of the way it is now. And it takes a long time to change too. I think, oddly enough, the pandemic had some sort of fueled the forces of change in that matter. Because everybody was forced to be online learning for a while, and that has led to a whole bunch of rippling effect ramifications across the our entire culture. So I'm interested to see where that's going to end up. I mean, I can't tell. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not an expert in educational paradigms, but I can see changes already. I mean, my own son spent a year, his third grade year, at home, and he was basically unschooled. I mean, he was allowed to, didn't conform to specific assignments sent from the school or anything like that. And he knows more now than I ever did when I was in fourth grade. And they're back at school now, and he's well past the educational level I was when I was in fourth grade. So, and he didn't have a third grade, really, not per se, not in the traditional sense. So he pursued all kinds of his own interests and some really surprising ones too, like history. He was reading things about the Napoleonic Wars and plate tectonics and all this stuff just because he heard about them, on some video somewhere and was looking them up. I mean, that's a great way to do unguided education. But that's the kind of thing that the pandemic caused, and I think that probably happened in a lot of cases. And who knows where those ripples are going to end, or what kind of long-term changes they're going to foment. You still there, Andrea? I can't hear you. No audio.
Hi.
There you are. I was just saying that I think that it was agreeing that the current educational system is sort of a product of the industrial era and developing. You get through high school, then you're ready to work, in a manufacturing company for 40 years, and then retire, that kind of thing.
I know. These aren't the jobs that we need people to be prepared for either. No. And I mean, even if you pick any subject, like let's take math, for example, the things that we teach people in math are bad. I mean, they're totally insane. There's no, I mean, like Euclidean geometry is cool, right? You can do cool things. You can figure out where you are on the planet from the stars on the horizon, right? But
how to play pool really well.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're going to choose, certain kinds of math to teach all children, right? It seems like what we need is statistics. Like kids need to figure out a way to hash through and parse the information that's being thrown at them constantly every day in, advertisements and,
a grounding in intuitive sense of statistical analysis, not from a mathematical standpoint, but as a way of thinking about things would be incredibly valuable, because then they can take a piece of information and say, well, what's the likelihood of this actually being true?
Probabilities. Exactly. And do they really need, what is, like, I know that this gets people angry. What is geometry really good for in modern cultures? Like surveying, playing pool.
Well, astrophysics, but like higher order, academics.
That everybody needs to know. Like,
that everybody needs to know? Yeah. That's a good question. Although
algorithm, I mean, they need to do more geometry. I mean, more algebra, basically.
I didn't agree with that, but the same types of math apply to both, though. They apply to them in different ways. Like a lot of the transitive, a lot of the properties, material opposite angles, all this sort of thing, have analogs in straight mathematics, mathematics as well. So it could be argued that it's a reinforcement of the knowledge, or a gestalt thing about understanding the properties involved, because you see the same properties over and over again in every branch of mathematics, right?
Mountains, what do you do? He says he couldn't do his job without geometry. Okay.
You also got to remember that geometry and algebra and everything don't have any content. They're a way of approximating actual events and describing them. That's all they are. There's no inherent value and content in mathematics at all. It's a language to describe things.
Right. But we do a terrible job of teaching people like the number theory, like why you would even want to speak this language of math.
Yeah, that's true.
We teach people tricks for getting answers.
Learn by rote. Yeah.
But here's a thought experiment for everybody, all three of us or whatever. If you could sit down and decide what mathematics to teach every single person in America by the time they're 18, what of all the math would you choose? Is like what the thought experiment does for me is say, oh, right, we chose these things because we wanted people to be able to do certain things, right?
Yeah.
That's not the game anymore, right? Education is about teaching people to learn in the first place and be critical and, you're putting your butt on the screen.
Right back. I was just looking for something.
Okay, okay. Mountain says he's a cartographer. Well, okay, yeah, a cartographer needs geometry. Like I said, surveying, styling, and look of maps. They don't really need geometry anymore. I have a friend who was a cartographer at National Geographic, actually, and he said it was lots of fun to play with the styling of the maps, which is I don't mean to discount it by saying styling. That's important. DeMarco says, well, I'd say algebra, but that might be because I teach algebra. I taught algebra. I taught trig a couple years ago, just because so they needed a trig teacher at this school, this English language school. So I taught trig, and it reminded me how useful that can actually be. But it's almost anymore like a Bear Grylls. Is that how you say his name? Grills. It's useful like that. I mean, nobody is making the case that I should know how my car works in order to be able to drive it, or my computer. So why should I have to know, basic, geometry to be able to make a flat line on a wall? I don't know.
What's funny is that, for generations, students have been saying, when am I going to ever actually need this that we're teaching, right? And I was always tossed off as the student being ignorant, But you know what? They might have a point.
I think they have a point. Yeah. It's not about the content anymore.
Yeah.
Because the content's all there. Nobody is going to have trouble finding that content.
That's what I tell all my Linux students, too. I said, I don't need you to memorize every single switch on every single command and repeat it back from memory on the exam. What I'm more interested in is you being able to identify what kind of process you need and know where to get the information on how to do it. That's what I concentrate on.
That's how you show that you understand what's going on.
That's right. You still need to know what you need.
Right.
But you don't need to carry the specifics around in your head all the time. If you do it enough, they're going to get stuck in there anyway. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to memorize all of this stuff that you might need someday. You just need to know where to find it when you need it. But you need to be able to identify what it is you need. See, that's the important part. So.
And I don't care about the argument that, there might be some EM pulse that takes everything down, because we just can't operate that way anymore. This all of that knowledge is right there, and it's going to be at your fingertips no matter what job you're doing. So what do you actually need to know? You need to understand what's going on in a function, in an algorithm, not find the perfect answer to it, which means that all of our math has to retool from getting the right answer to understanding what's going on. I understand that getting the right answer is supposed to prove that you know what's going on, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
That's why I feel like statistics, Bayesian probabilities, like all that shit is a much better measure of, it's a much better sort of process for people's heads to have to go through than just straight up equations.
And problem solving is a good way to put it. Problem solving. That's what you just said in the chat, you see?
Yes, problem solving.
That's a good way to put it. That's basically what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
But also you don't have to memorize every single answer for that problem. You just need to say, oh, I see, I need this kind of answer here. I'm going to go look that up, and get the right result and apply it to the problem. There you go. So what was it saying? Yes, that's a good way to put it.
And then anybody, it's like, but I have trouble with the whole idea of teaching, prescribing certain content be taught in the first place. Like, I think after about, you need to teach people how to read and write letters and communicate with one another through those, and numbers and math and those things. But after that, I think almost what are we looking at, Will?
I'll just show you the motor I made.
I think almost everything we do needs to be, we should be teaching kids from about third grade to synthesize and create new ideas out of the things that are already findable. And they should be learning about primary sources and secondary sources, and critiquing media and statistics. I mean, I just don't think it's useful anymore to have a unit on Canada. You know what I mean?
I still think it's that T-shirt is funny. Canada, America's hat. I think that's. I know it's rude, but I think it's funny. I don't know. I was just playing with this. This is a motor. See that? Have you seen these?
It looks like a wire.
It's a battery with some magnets stuck on one end.
Are they little rare earth things?
Yeah, they're rare earth magnets. They're stuck on there. You just stick this in here like that. And if I could do this with one hand. Ugh. It's slippery tabletop too. So it sits there like that. And then this goes over top like that. And then boom, away you go.
Oh, look at that.
Yep, world's simplest motor. One wire, magnet, and a battery. So anyway.
Can you explain to me why that works?
Yeah, actually I can. But the when you have a charge that's moving through a field, right? Let me change back the camera here.
Hi, Thomas Potts. Hello.
This is my other camera.
Thomas Potts didn't say hi to me. He said hi to Jeff and John, but not me. 3 plus 3 equals 33. Perfect.
Okay. So if you have a wire and there's a charge moving along it, it conforms to what's called the right-hand rule. So if a charge is moving in the direction of my thumb, it sets up a magnetic field, because that's what moving charges do, part of E&M, in waves that are shaped like my fingers. So if you have moving along a wire in one direction, it creates magnetic fields that's circular, like concentric around the wire. Right? So what's happening here is that you have this thing, right, is actually a circuit.
Just copper, yeah?
Yeah, just copper wire. This thing creates a circuit from one side of the battery to the other. So there's a moving charge going through this wire.
But the circuit on the other side is just from the magnets passing through the.
Well, the magnets are actually serving two functions. They are serving to counteract the field that's being set up by the moving charge in the wire. Is pushing on the field that's coming from the magnets. But the magnets are also serving as the closing circuit of the electric.
Okay, that's what confused me, yeah.
Yeah, it's serving two purposes, both to close the circuit and also to push against the magnetic field that's being generated in the wire because of the moving charge.
How can it close the circuit if it's not touching?
It is touching.
Oh, show it closer.
You can't see it. They touch around the bottom, and the faster it spins, the more it touches. So these are like motor brushes, if you know.
Oh, okay.
So it does have to touch. If you suspend it exactly so they're not touching the magnets, it doesn't start turning. The circuit has to be, the current has to be flowing for it to work.
So the field gets bumpy.
What now?
The field gets bumpy.
Field gets which field?
You were saying that when a charged particle moves through the, it makes the magnetic fields kind of line up in that bumpy, stacked tires way. Are you there? You look dead. There you are.
Me? No, I was looking at my motor. I was trying to. Sorry.
What did you say about the electron moving? The theory of going right.
That just is a way of understanding that how a moving charge on a wire, the type of the direction of the magnetic force lines.
And the magnetic force lines is what you meant about getting bumpy like your fingers.
Yeah, it's when it's called the right-hand rule. So if the charge is moving this way in the direction of my thumb down a wire, the magnetic force lines are my fingers.
Okay.
Concentric around the wire, like that.
Why does that matter?
That's just the way that field is generated. So when if you had to, you could actually do the geometry involved and figure out the direction that the force lines are actually pushing. So in this case, the magnetic fields of this, they're not going to be balanced no matter how, but there's probably a more efficient way of doing it, because these have a charge that's going out the top, around, and into the bottom.
Wait, we can't see. Hold it close. You're not holding it.
These, right?
Yes.
All right. They have force lines that go out the top, around the bottom, right? So they kind of like form a case that turns around and goes
like
back.
Like a cardioid microphone.
Yeah, it's like that, exactly. Whereas this is, all of these things are having charges that are not exactly in opposition to those. Right?
All of what things? The charges in the wire?
The fields generated by the moving charge in the wire at the bottom here. Right. So these are going. Oh yeah, these are going like this. The of the magnets, whereas the ones around here are going like this. Around the wires.
Okay. Hold on. I need to change the view that we have. There. Now we'll be able to see you, whatever you do on the. There we go.
So the ones through the wire are kind of like in the same shape as the insulation of the wire. The charge is going through this wire, and the magnetic fields are set up are kind of like circles around it.
Pumpkin.
Some of those forces push against some of the field lines that are in the magnets.
Okay.
When there's a net, it's not going to perfectly counteract, but there's a net force one way or the other on the wires, depending on the angles that it's at and a couple other things.
And that's why it spins?
Yeah. Because it's not perfectly balanced, so it's going to turn one way or the other. If I turn the magnets around on the bottom of the magnet, it spins the other way because it's unbalanced in the other direction.
Because it's in Australia where the toilets flush the other way down the.
Sure, the global Coriolis effect definitely has a lot of effect on my toilet.
Hardy har. So just to be clear, that's not true.
What the
Australia flushing the other way thing?
Yes, that's not true.
I didn't think so because, my God, the Earth spins really fast in one direction, and that direction doesn't change when you're down there.
No, it'll affect things like the size of hurricanes, but it doesn't have anywhere near the angular moment to be able to affect things in your toilet. So, yeah, that's one of those things that we grew up learning that was the truth and found out later that we're not.
You remember did you believe like I did that because Mom told me that you could, maybe you told me, I don't remember, that you could on the equinox or the solstice, I don't remember which one, you could stand an egg on its end, right?
Yeah, that came from Mom originally. I don't know where she got it, but that's another one of those things.
Yeah, I believed that shit. I remember going out to the backyard. Mom took me out with an egg to the back fence by the driveway to try and balance an egg on the equinox on a fence post.
Yeah. Right.
I should have known it was complete BS. Well, this is inefficient.
Yes, it is. But very counterproductive.
Well, here's a problem, though. We are making a product.
That's true. I suppose so.
But it's not a very good one, so counterproductive.
There we go. Hey, perfect. We gotta make up a bunch of T-shirts that only have one sleeve.
We just sew the neck closed.
Yeah, sew the neck shut. Yeah, exactly. Or sew the bottom shut. So you get the neck and the sleeves open, but the bottom is shut. That would be good. I like that. We're gonna have to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this was a very good episode. I think, I don't know, should we in future, as they say in England, in future, should we have more of a theme?
Probably. This was more of a proof of concept for the live stream than it was a formal.
Well, here's the thing, though. The easiest way to produce a show that essentially is going to be people talking to each other is to do this, whether you stream it live or not, and then cut it down.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And most of the like YouTubers out there do these live things, and then they make a VOD, video, version of it. Brainy says, it's a good thing that Bird wasn't here. We would have had Osseo pray with us. That's true. Where is Bird? Osseo Pray is Bird's alter ego that's speaks in this unbelievably mangled Australian accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you meet Bird?
What?
Hold on, I gotta refresh my Coca-Cola. Somebody tell Bird we're talking about him, and maybe he'll come on. I mean, I know it's the middle of the night somewhere. On the East Coast, it's 3:15.
Yeah, you're right. Holy moly, I didn't know it was that late. We've been talking for almost an hour and a half. How about that? When you get going, it really gets going sometimes.
Will, I dropped my Switch in my hot tub.
Oh no.
I'm hoping it'll dry out. Apparently that's worked for a lot of people.
Well, there's a good chance. Mine was drenched in lemonade, and a lot of the acid ate out the insides, and it still worked.
Really?
Yeah, the screen, I mean, the little screen doesn't work, but it's worked for me to spend, most of the last 2 years playing Animal Crossing, as a console. So those things are pretty rugged. And if it's just water in there,
just water.
The problem mine was that it stayed with lemonade inside the case for like weeks. So I finally got around to cleaning it out, and tons of the stuff in there was just corroded and acid burned and everything. And I took it all apart and cleaned it out, and it started up. Like I said, the screen doesn't work anymore, but it works as a console just fine. So chances are, since it's not acidic, unless you had acid in your tub, I think there's a decent chance you'll get it going again.
Well, if it doesn't start just by itself, I mean, I'm not going to open this thing up because I don't trust myself with tiny things like that, tiny screws and things. But there are a couple guys here in town who have cell phone businesses where they change screens and clean things out. Should I take it to one of them to dry off? Will, you're looking at your motor so much, all we can see is the top of your head.
Okay. Yeah, take it to them. They can probably do it. That rice thing doesn't really work, but if you have any of those little packets of the silica,
silica gel.
Do
not eat.
Huh?
Do not eat. Yeah. Do not eat.
That's much better for that. You just need a couple of those. You find them in pill bottles and chicharrones things and everything else they want to stay crispy. And throw that in a bag with it. That'll help. I don't know what their experience is with these actual kind of things. I mean, but they're not all that different from taking cell phones apart, so they probably can do something.
Oh, these guys are magical.
Oh, then yes, I would take it to them.
They live in the third world and spend all their time fixing first world cell phones. They know how to do everything without any of the shortcuts.
Not only that, but if you didn't try to power it on when it was wet, as long as you dry it out before you try powering on, it'd probably be fine. Because really the problem is when you get it wet and then try to power it on, and things short out and burn out and do all kinds of stuff.
Wouldn't it be great if I hadn't done that?
What happened? You powered it on, it didn't work?
No, I didn't try and power it on right away. But I did try and power it on like a day and a half later.
Did it come on a bit and then die?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you're probably okay then. So.
I don't know, but I am intentionally, Yitzi Lemons, I'm intentionally ignoring your comments. I don't know what I'm going to do. I almost bought another Switch when I was up in the States in the last couple of days because I know that if I can get this one working, I'll be able to sell it for probably more than it costs new in the States because they're hard to get down here.
Yeah. But still pretty hard to get around here too.
Yeah, but they were hard to get there. Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, they're not available anywhere at the moment. And if you do get a new one, you want to get the new one with the nice OLED screen. As long as you have to get a new one, might as well get the one with the better screen and the faster.
I do not know what that means. I saw that they exist. I was like, what is that? What? I don't understand. It's just a better screen.
It's an upgraded screen, yeah, and I think it's a little bit faster. But the common the common
what does that mean, faster?
When
you're talking about a screen, what do you mean by faster?
Well, if it's faster, it means that the graphics are going to be a little bit smoother, and you probably won't notice the difference, actually. And they say that if you already own one that's perfectly functional, there's no reason to spend all the money to buy a whole new one. But if you have to buy a new one, and if you can afford the extra $50, you might as well get the one with the nicer screen, because it's a clearer, sharper screen is mostly the upgrade there. So other than that, it's the same. So.
I just don't care. I really don't care about.
Yeah, in your case, if you're using it as a console, it doesn't make any difference. And if you really don't care about slightly sharper screen, then there's no reason to get the OLED version. And also, it's
you're using yours as a console, right? Is that the thing I should try? If it doesn't start again, should I think, well, maybe it's just the screen that isn't working and hook it up?
It is possible, because mine, I didn't realize that for a while until I was messing around with it, trying to get it to work. And then I realized that the touch screen still works. So I was getting sounds coming from the console, and realized it's on, but the screen's dark. So I plugged it in the console, and there it was. It came up fine on the big TV. So
have I shown you my cute little projector?
Oh, you got one of those. No, you haven't shown me that. That's great.
What do you mean, one of those?
I've seen pictures of it, because I got a projector here too, and I saw those models.
This is, I think I told you about this, right? That it has absolutely no brand marking at all whatsoever. None.
Yeah.
The only thing it says is LED Smart Projector HD. That's all it, and the box, it came in a blank cardboard box.
Projector.
Yeah. But, there's all kinds of weird copyright shit that, down here. I think I must have sent you at least a dozen pictures of toys, right? Have I sent you toy pictures? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, my happy horsey instead of My Little Pony. And
yes.
Yeah, the fake Legos here are Kogo, Cogo.
Yeah, and you go out and buy some Smurds.
Smurds?
Smurfs,
yeah. You are
Smurds.
Old. We're old.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Carlo Albanese, hello. I like Carlo. Hi, I haven't talked to you in ages. I haven't been on the YouTubes for ages, guys. I just couldn't do it. First of all, I got really, I don't need to do this here. Nobody cares anyway that I haven't been on the YouTubes, but I do miss some people. It's hard to dabble in the YouTubes.
Yeah, it's a commitment. You either do it or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're always there or you're just never there. I think actually Yitza does a pretty good job. And John's saying we do care, by the way. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I'm significantly busier than I was then, and I don't know how to do it. But I miss you guys. Hey, what time? I heard that there have been some change. Well, I'm just bear with me. Since you're doing your motor thing, I'm going to talk to my people. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to get off because it's 3:30 in the morning here, and I need to get some sleep. So.
Well, why? What time do you teach tomorrow?
I don't.
Oh, so you're just making my point.
But I got my son here, and I can't sleep all day. So
sorry. Yes, I don't mean to be a jerk. I teach at 10, which is in 8 hours. 7.5.
Nope, I don't have any classes tomorrow, but I do need to wind it down here for me.
Be a human. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. But this is. Can we end this stream on INC and keep?
Yeah. So I can do that. I can just turn it off up here. So let's say that we'll give it a good night to everybody in INC, and my sister will continue to mumble and blather on her own channel.
Say nothing important.
Bunk and Pablum and Hokum, yes. But that'll be it for the INC portion of this evening. So thank you for joining us. If you're in here from INC, although I don't think anybody is, no, just me. But if you, but it'll be on the INC channel.
Oh, right.
So anybody actually watching, we're gonna have to edit it, I think. But
I don't know. Every single thing I say is interesting.
Everybody's entitled to my opinion. That's what I like to say.
I'm staying here. I don't know what. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn off that portion of it.
Okay. Let's see what happens. I'll see if people can still see me. Carlo Albanese, you didn't forget that you like to do the NPR thing. That's interesting. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We're trying to see if we can stop streaming on one channel and stay on another. Is it working?
Apparently I can do that. You can remove it, you delete it from the stream, and you can choose to delete the actual post or not on YouTube, which I would choose not to delete.
Don't delete it.
No, of course not. But
Make
I'm going
it
to remove it from the broadcast.